I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Enger to take it away and wow our students with our science department.
Yeah. So my name's Dr. Enger. I've been at Quincy University for 13 years now and have been teaching biology for all those years, pretty much. I teach anatomy and physiology and genetics and biochemistry. And so I'm pretty well versed in the world of the sciences. We have a pretty good department here, both biology and chemistry, and I think that we set up our students pretty well for careers in either in biology, chemistry, health sciences, etc. So, maybe I'll just start here with a little bit of a slideshow, and really you guys can ask questions anytime. Don't hesitate. Just we're such a small group here, so if you have a question about anything that I say or something that any of us can answer, we'd be happy to do it. So let me see if I can figure out. You would think after spending all this time on Zoom, I'd be able to know how to share my screen. There we go.
Weekly review sessions for A&P.
Yes, I have done those weekly review sessions. So challenging. Can you guys see that? Yep.
Yes.
So I'm just going to do just a general overview, and this applies to any of the colleges that you may be looking at or universities that you're looking at. Generally, universities offer four-year institutions offer degrees in Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts. And it depends on the institution, but in general, they're mostly the same. Lots of times the Bachelor of Arts has a little bit more freedom within it to take a lot of different courses that you might be interested in. Bachelor of Science is a little bit more restrictive on what courses you can and cannot take. Some of you may have had an associate's degree from someplace. That's mostly offered by two-year institutions. But transfer students that do have an associate's degree actually come into the institution slightly differently than someone who comes in as a freshman. And so if you'll work with your Justin, I believe. Justin Ray will help you transfer. So our degrees mostly here are made up of kind of two parts. One is the Bonaventure program, the other one are the major requirements. And so Bonaventure program is the foundation in the liberal arts. Liberal arts just means that it's a broad perspective on all the different disciplines within education and academics. And really what it does is gives you exposure to how all the disciplines think about, not all of them, but a lot of disciplines think about their subject and how they do critical thinking within their subject. I went to a small liberal arts college. I would not trade my education for anything. There were some classes that I didn't think that I would like that I absolutely loved. And then there were some classes where it was like, I don't like this, but I understand why I'm taking it. This usually happens to most people, but I think if you come into the approach of any class that you take at the university level, professors are generally pretty interesting and provide some sort of deeper knowledge that you might not get in the high school, that you haven't seen in high school. So I really enjoyed all my liberal arts. Major requirements generally are made up of two parts. One is a kind of introductory courses, and then you have upper level courses. And we have a couple resources here. Most institutions have at least this first part that I'm going to talk about called the academic catalog. And the academic catalog is just kind of like the academic policies of the institution. Every university has one of these. So it has some of the rules, but it also tells you the different courses, generally the different courses that are offered at an institution, and then also the different degrees that are offered at the institution. So I'll go into that in biology and chemistry and mathematics today, or biology and chemistry. And then it usually has a list of the faculty and staff on campus and also the board of trustees. And you can find these on most websites, university websites, and here's a link to ours. So I'm just for real quick, if you're interested in a degree at our institution, we have these things called the degree checklist. And you can find these on the registrar's page, and I'll think I have my next slide kind of shows you how to do that. But ours, it just kind of lists out the courses that you're going to need to take. I haven't done this yet. The lists out the courses here. So this left-hand side is the Bonaventure program, the right-hand side are the major requirements. And this one's actually biological sciences and the pre-medical sciences one. And you'll note over here that There are a few places where kind of blanks, which these blank spots allow you to take courses that you might be interested in pursuing. You might have had a class in high school that you're interested in, and you'd like to do a little bit more in that. For example, like psychology is a great first-year class to take because it's just introduction to psychology is really good. I just think everybody should have that. But let's say if you're interested in criminal justice, you could take a criminal justice, for example, from your social sciences. On the right-hand side, you can see the biology major, the pre-medical sciences one. And you can see that it's kind of, everything's listed out for you. For those of you who are type A personalities, which maybe some of you are, the science people generally like to have everything kind of planned out more or less. And this is where you work with an academic advisor that can really help you navigate the 4 years that you're at our institution. So, I'll talk about some more of those here, some more specifics on that in a second. I think Quincy University is doing a great job with academic support. So one of the people that's really important in your life is your academic advisor. I was Taylor's academic advisor. She's still talking to me, so so I think things are okay, except for at the very end where she was like, "Why did you let me do this?" But she did it anyway, so she graduated. And so this is a faculty member who helps you navigate the world of obtaining your degree. And this ties into our Success by Design, and we really help you plan out your life. We also have success coaches on campus, and they can facilitate your transition to college, but they can help you prepare your schedule if need be, and then they can also help you locate other resources on campus. I think they're really important at least your first year, but I think that when you become more familiar with your major and who your academic advisor is, you have a tendency to work more with them. We do have the Student Success Center here where we have tutoring and supplemental instruction. And I taught teach a class called Anatomy and Physiology, and I have a supplemental instructor or supplemental instructors that only work on that class. And they work pretty closely with me. And it's a good way to review material and then also be prepared for exams. And the Success Center also works with study skills. And then one of our other aspects on campus is our Quest Center, and this is our experiential learning resources. So if you're thinking about pre-medical sciences, generally we don't work too much through them because you contact the hospital directly if you want to go shadow, or a doctor directly to go shadow, or a department in a hospital to go shadow. Or if you're interested in physical therapy, a physical therapist, occupational therapist, etc. And then also we have Quest Cash that you earn when you complete credit hours here, and you can use that towards some of your experiential learning. That can include undergraduate research, travel to conferences, some sorts of internships where you can apply that. Study abroad as well. So the Division of Science and Technology, this houses quite a few departments, including biology, chemistry, mathematics, computer science, cybersecurity, and aviation. And so I'm only going to talk about biology, chemistry, and mathematics because it's in my list here. Nobody here is interested, and you might be interested in it, but you may not want to major in those. So we have 12 full-time faculty in our division, and we have about 21 majors, different majors within majors, within biology, chemistry, and mathematics, and aviation, cybersecurity, etc. So for you guys in biological sciences, these are the kinds of degrees that we have here. Bachelor of Science, pre-medical sciences concentration. This actually covers a whole bunch of different of the medical sciences, including medical school, dentistry, optometry, osteopathy, pharmacy, veterinary, chiropractic schools. And so like that gives you the good base for that kind of medical idea. Also, my undergrad degree was in biology. I pretty much followed what we do here, except for what I did was scientific research. So I went and got a PhD. So this also prepares you for PhD or master's program. The other ones here are pre-physical therapy concentration, so it prepares you for going to PT school, and then pre-occupational therapy concentration under this one as well. And I have this little note down here on the lower right-hand side that says Best Med School applications have done generally double major in biology and chemistry. You can talk to Taylor about that. And, and then you try to do some research. I presented at the academic symposium. That looks really good. They love that you've done research at the undergraduate level. You can get started in that right away when you come to Princeton University. So it's like your first year, we have a couple of introduction to research courses. And I highly recommend that even if you don't plan on going into research, it makes you understand research a lot better and how we arrive at some of the understanding of things that we have. And then also they love that you've done some service, either to your community or to the school or whatnot. So, we also have biological sciences degree, a couple others called environmental science concentration, and then we also have the teacher licensure one. And again, a lot of the majors here, they take a lot of the same types of courses, and so not just these. I mean, you can take environmental classes too if you'd like to pursue that as well, and even if you're a pre-med major. We also have biology degrees that are Bachelor of Arts degrees, and they're a little less strict in what kind of chemistry and math that you need to take. All of these degrees are pretty much required. General chemistry 1 and 2, organic 1 and 2, organic chemistry 1 and 2, and physics 1 and 2. And so that idea is that in biology, this degree doesn't have quite the same requirements, but it still prepares you, especially for scientific research. And then also, if you want to work in a lab or do those sorts of things, this also applies. And then we have a BA in biology with a pre-occupational therapy, because not every occupational therapist needs 4 chemistry classes. So we have this one as well. So just at our institution, I'm just going to talk about a couple special opportunities. One is that we have Trade Medical Scholars program. This is an articulation agreement with St. Louis University, and essentially you do 3 years here. It's an accelerated degree, and then you do medical school at St. Louis University. This is a kind of, you have to meet some certain requirements in order to participate in the pre-medical scholars program. You can contact Dr. Kim Hale. Either one of you guys can help me out there and share that. But it requires a certain ACT score, and it really is pretty accelerated. So, and then we also have STEM, which if you happen to have changed your mind since you signed up for this and you really just want to do straight up biology and do a non-clinical aspect, which would be things like a PhD program or master's program, that we have special grants for that. And we also have Title III, which we're really excited about. This is a type of grant from the Department of Education, and it really supports some of the initiatives that we have on campus, especially to expand undergraduate research. And we're almost done with this brand new lab for biological sciences. I'm really excited about it. We've got some new equipment for chemistry, and we're just, I've worked here for a long time, and I am so excited that we really have this now. And then so our undergraduate research here, we usually work with a faculty member. We have and you actually do the research. The faculty just kind of push. Taylor, did you do that?
Yes, I did the independent research class with Dr. Combs, and then my senior year, I did my academic symposium research with Dr. Combs as well, which wasn't for credit, but it was just for extra research outside of class.
Right, and that's important too. It shows initiative. So, and so then essentially we have a venue for you to present your research, right? And so we have an academic symposium, so you can either do like a presentation like a PowerPoint, or you can do a poster, and there are judges, and it's like an adult science fair. I mean, it's not like your high school. It's not your high school science fair. So a little bit more intense, but there is a prize if you win, and all sorts of stuff. So it's a great experience to have, because even in medical school, you will have to present things, or as a nurse, you may have to present things, or to a team of people, you have to present things. And so actually this exposure, kind of like, it's a little unnerving, makes you a little bit nervous to do it, but actually experiencing that at the undergraduate level is really important. And because then the next time you see it, it's not something brand new. We also have a clinical lab sciences degree here. which is a partnership actually. But you do part of your coursework here, and then you work at a hospital. So clinical lab sciences is they work with generally in the medical setting, so analyzing blood or look for microbes in blood or try to identify what's killing you. Pretty much, that's what they do. I did a little bit of that. So, for those of you who are interested in chemistry, we have Bachelor of Science degrees here. This is a straight up chemistry can prepare you for grad school, either for a PhD program, scientific research master's program. Pharmacy school, also I would recommend doing chemistry, and actually doing chemistry and biology to prepare you for chemical engineering. We've had students go off in multiple directions with that particular degree, both to medical school, to grad school, and have been pretty successful at doing what they do. And we also have forensic science concentration. So this prepares especially for grad school, but you start to learn how to analyze things from a forensic perspective in the forensic sciences. It's pretty much a chemistry degree with a few courses in it that are really geared towards forensic science. So a little bit of criminal justice is mixed in with that. Crime scene investigation, collection of samples, and stuff like that. And then we also have the pre-medical sciences concentration, which has some biology mixed in with it. But most medical schools, if you're interested in a career in medicine, there's kind of just a basic set of courses that you need. You don't need every single course that we have on our list, but they will prepare you for what's coming your way. Also for some, I see that Carla, that you're interested in nursing possibly. If you're thinking about being a nurse anesthetist, there are certain avenues to get there, and nursing programs will tell you to go through nursing. I would say at our institution, if you're really set on being a nurse anesthetist, I would probably do a biology or chemistry degree, because the requirements to go to nurse anesthetist, to become a nurse anesthetist, requires that you have organic chemistry 1 and 2 and physics 1 and 2. So just so you know, and that's generally not in any nursing program that I know of. I don't think any of you are interested in math, but look at that fun stuff on the right-hand side. You can minor in things. So if you enjoy mathematics like I did in undergrad, like I took a few math courses alongside with my biology courses. And then we actually have a few interdisciplinary majors, but I don't think any of these, well, health services is one of them, that you choose 2 of these 4 disciplines to study. And then there's agribusiness, but I don't think any of you are. If you guys have questions for me, there's me over here on the left, and then Dr. Hale is the chair of the Division of Science and Technology. But any of us can answer questions for you. You guys have any questions for me? Oops, I just stopped sharing that, sorry. I could see people.
And guys, you can either unmute yourself and ask a question. You can send it in the chat. We are monitoring that. So if you guys think of anything that you have questions about, please speak up. Dr. Enger, could you expand on the Cadaver Lab on campus?
Oh yeah, we have a Cadaver Lab here. I forget to put that in there. Actually, we're one of the smallest. Well, we're a pretty small institution for having Cadaver, and so the great thing about Cadaver here is that the class is generally pretty small, and generally your first year you do a little bit more of the dissection, and not so much a dissection. But if you are really enjoy Cadaver, then the second year, Dr. Hale might say, "Hey, I'd like for you to be a peer instructor." And so then that's when you really can get in that away. It's not like that. I think one of the advantages for people going into pre-medical sciences is that most programs will start off with a course in gross anatomy, and sometimes the part that really gets people, I think, is seeing a dead body for the first time. At least if you can see a dead body before you get there, if you can see the cadaver before you go and do gross anatomy, I think that's probably one of the most beneficial parts, and that you actually get to understand the tissues and how the cutaneous membrane set up, and when you start, it's maybe a little bit harder than what you think. Is that what you think, Taylor?
Yeah, it was definitely the best class I think I took as a student at QU. It was strange the first day walking in there, just getting used to the setup of everything. My lab only had about 7 to 10 students depending on the week. But I mean, I did get a lot of up close and personal time making cuts on the cadaver, which I know sounds like a really weird thing to say. But it was definitely really beneficial, and I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend taking it multiple times if you can.
Yep, I would say so. Yep. And actually, it switches between male and female. So one year we have a male cadaver, the next year will be female cadaver, so you can see both. So that's why most people take it twice as well. And there are some, well, we're human, we know we're different. So I have a question here from Carla. She said, what classes would I have to take if I want to major in forensic field? Kind of depends on what forensic field you're interested in. So there are 3 or 4 different how people define forensics. But you can do forensic chemistry, which is very much about the chemical aspects of forensics, right? So if you shoot a gun and you collect the gunpowder, the residue from that, analyzing residues, and it's kind of a little bit more of a chemical analysis part. But we also have forensic psychology, which then that's more of when you think about profilers, that's the degree that many of our students who say, I want to be a profiler, they generally do forensic psychology. We also have forensic digital forensics, which is also that's more of a computer science aspect. So when things get hacked, you trying to figure out what happened, who did what, that sort of stuff. So it kind of depends on which class you're actually interested in. I mean, which part of forensics that you're in. But generally, forensics, from a chemistry perspective, is very much a chemistry degree. So Gen Chem 1 and 2, organic chemistry 1 and 2, forensic science, forensic chemistry, and then there'll be I think there are 3 or 4 criminal justice courses. And if you go to look for the degree checklists on our website, you can find the degree checklist that says forensic chemistry. I think it's forensic chemistry as it's listed on there. And there you kind of get an idea of what the courses are that are in it. Christian, you have a question?
Yeah, so do you run that Cadaver Lab?
I don't run it. I don't like dead bodies.
Wait, so who was it that took that class?
Taylor took it.
Yeah, so it's actually Dr. Hale who runs it, and she's also in charge of that pre-medical scholars program that Dr. Inger talked about. It's offered every spring semester, and so the class is set up where you basically meet twice a week. So I think mine was on Mondays. It's a big lecture hall, so it's every single lab group all together. You basically do a rundown of what you're going to be discussing and dissecting that week. And then my lab group met on Wednesdays, and it's I think the class is from 6:30 to 9. So you can pretty much stay however long you want. Some students will stay longer if they want to do more, be more present. But it's a really nice atmosphere because Dr. Hale comes in for the beginning part of the lab, and then she actually leaves. So it's pretty much all run by the students, which is nice because it makes you a little less nervous in that kind of setting. So it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, it really is one of the highlights. And generally you do that in your junior year, but some people take it their sophomore year. My recommendation to people is usually take anatomy and physiology first. So at least you have some sort of framework understanding, and then take it, because then you just have a little bit more background, and it makes more sense than just jumping into it. So it's a little bit, the classes.
I took my sophomore year. So.
You took your sophomore?
Mm-hmm. It didn't fit in my schedule junior or senior year, but I definitely, if you can, take it more than once.
Good to know.
Yeah, she was a double major, so it's kind of hard to, if you're a double major, it's kind of hard to get all your chemistry plus your biology courses in the same, and then take some of the electives. But.
I didn't get much sleep my junior and senior year, so.
What are some graduate school and med school placement
Uh,
rates?
Pretty much a grad student, people who go on to grad school, most of those guys get in, I think, who apply. Med school, it's kind of, I mean, the people who apply generally get in, but sometimes you might be in a pre-medical track and you take the MCAT, which is the exam that you take in order to go to med school. And there's a certain cutoff of the score there. So if you are either just below it or right at it or barely above it, sometimes like you just won't apply that year. And so sometimes like the people who do pretty well in the MCAT and apply to med schools, they generally get in. I think it's we're actually pretty successful. And usually my feedback from students when they go off to med schools is that we covered everything we covered all that immunology that we covered the whole semester in like 2 weeks, right? So at least you have a head start on some of these things. And so at least we try to get you prepped for some things when you get to school. But, the MCAT's a pretty difficult test, and it really does select the students who apply to medical school.
What are some shadow or internship opportunities in Quincy?
So we have, if you're pre-medical sciences, we have two kind of, well, there are a number of clinics in town, but there's Quincy Medical Group and then there's Blessing Hospital. Taylor, did you shadow?
So I shadowed, I'm from St. Louis, so I did a couple shadowing opportunities back home over the summer, but then I actually worked as a scribe in the ER at Blessing. The company I went through was Scribe America, but now I think it's called Pro Scribe. I don't really know what is allowed in hospitals at the moment just because of COVID, so I don't know if students are still able to do that, but I know medical schools have been pretty lenient on students who weren't able to get all the shadowing hours they've wanted, so.
But generally, like, I personally do not set those up. I tell you that you need to do this as an academic advisor, but I do not set them up for you. Generally, that's the student's responsibility to reach out to a medical doctor or the clinic and ask if they can do some shadowing. And every medical doctor understands why they pretty much, if you ask, they'll say, well, I may not be able to do it, but why don't you go work with this person? And they understand that shadowing is really important. And it is important for you at least to have some experience with that before you go to, I mean, to really see it, unless your parents are medical doctors, most of us have not lived in the world of what medicine is. And so it really is important because you might change your mind. You might say, no, I don't want to do this. No, not for me. So that's why they like for you to shadow. And then it also allows you to look at some of the different areas within medicine. I see a lot of pre-medical students, they come in and say, I want to be a pediatrician. I'm like, okay, let's get through these 4 years first, right? Then you go to medical school, then you decide that you want to be a pediatrician because you don't know everything about medicine. You don't know every career that's out there for medicine. And two, you might change your mind. I was pre-medical sciences when I was an undergrad, and I decided I don't want to do that, and I did a PhD. So.
Elena, do you want to talk about just your experience as a student so far and give our visitors here the student perspective, because I know that's what they truly want to hear about too.
Sure. So last year, right now I am just on the general chemistry degree. I've been kind of playing with the idea of maybe going to pre-med. Not that I'm particularly interested in med school, but then you don't have to take Calc 2 and 3. I have to take calculus since high school, so I'm a little iffy about that. So I'm thinking about switching possibly. But yeah, last year I took Gen Chem. A lot of it was familiar from high school, even if I wasn't super great at it right away. It was all like really familiar, a lot of stuff we did in high school. This year I'm taking organic, which is a whole different beast. So I'm surviving. I'm kind of impressing myself with how I'm doing right now. But overall, it's one of the hardest ones, but I'm actually kind of enjoying it. just overall, like I sit in class and I'm like, what am I doing here? Why did I pick this? And then, we'll do one lab, or, I'll help somebody with their homework and I'm like, this is why I did it. Like, I really enjoy doing it. But one of the things I like about QU is the student to faculty ratio is 15-1. I came from a high school of 500, 600 kids. So that was about the same student to faculty ratio in my high school. So I still get to know all my professors really well. My organic chem professor, she has been recording our lectures because she is on maternity leave, getting ready to have her third child. Like I know those things about her, and I like being able to know my professors. I feel like it makes it easier for me to go to them with questions. But in general, everybody's super friendly, like super willing to help. Like anybody that you ask, like if they don't know how to help you, they can point you in the right direction. And I've usually had a pretty positive experience with any faculty member that I've dealt with. So
We are human, so.
Thank you, Elena. Taylor, do you have anything to add from an alum perspective? I mean, I know you've added some, but anything else you can think of?
I would say one thing that I really appreciated about my experience is definitely the class sizes. And Dr. Inger is my advisor, and I still talk to him to this day. Normally, we'd be playing badminton on Wednesday nights in the Health and Fitness Center, but that hasn't been able to happen recently. But another nice aspect to our science department is we do offer a pre-professional sciences club too, which encompasses pretty much every realm of pre-professional science degree. Whether you are PT, wanting to go to dental school, wanting to go to optometry school, anything you can think of. It's just a group of all science students that you probably already know all of them from classes anyway. But they usually do like 1 or 2 meetings every month. They do a couple of fundraisers, they sell t-shirts, but the best part is that they bring back alumni to come talk to us. So students who have gone on to med school, people who are practicing with their degrees, if there's a specific area that a student's interested in and we have someone who has graduated from QU and is currently pursuing that degree elsewhere, we can bring them back on campus to ask them questions about what classes they took at the undergraduate level, where did they shadow, how did they go about finding opportunities to shadow. They'll talk about their application processes. So if they are in the process of applying to med school and they're a senior at QU, they'll actually sit down, pull up their application and show you everything you need to know and talk about how they went about finding the schools they looked at, what resources they used to study for the DAT or the MCAT. And it's just a really helpful network for the freshman students who have absolutely no idea what they're doing when they start college, to help prepare them for their junior and senior year when it's really time to buckle down and start applying to schools. So that was something that was really cool about it. I hope that helps.
And it's also good for me because I get to see some of those guys that I haven't seen for years. So.
Kind of expanding off of that, what are some examples of student outcomes?
What do you mean by that?
Like different maybe grad schools they've gone to, different med schools,
We've had a pretty
any
good
success stories?
Yes, because everybody's a success story.
True. Yes, you're right.
Sometimes I think that you start to find your passion as you're in school. You find the things that you're really interested in, or aspects like in biology, where I found that I was really interested in certain aspects of it. But like, I mean, we've had people go to med school at the University of Missouri. They'll do their residency. Like we have and he actually came back here. This was from quite a few years back, but he did a residency at the University of Iowa. We have people at University of Illinois Springfield. We've had med students. I think a lot of them go to their DAT is dental people. They go on to I can't remember. Carbondale. We've had people that have gone down there. Vet school. One of a couple guys who've gone to Ohio State University, which is a really big, one of the best veterinary schools. PhD programs. We've had a few people go to PhD programs that have been pretty successful. down at, I think it's down at WashU. I mean, and sometimes people like some of these students are pre-med students, so they just decide, I'm going to go this track, I like it a lot better. So, but yeah, I don't know, it's hard not to say that. I think everybody is pretty successful in by the time they graduate and they find kind of what they want to pursue. I think they're pretty good about that. I mean, your faculty members, I mean, we're usually pretty good about supporting our students when they apply, because you have to ask for letters to generally, like I'll help people edit their personal statements, or why do you want to become a doctor, or why do you want to be an occupational therapist. So I've spent a lot of time with students and my advisees to kind of polish that writing, because it's the writing sample. Yeah, I think the outcomes have been pretty good, I would say. I'm sorry I can't give you like more specific examples.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Everybody, and from my perspective, has done well. So
for sure. No, that's a good thing though. That's a good thing you're able to do that. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to unmute and ask, or send in the chat here? Don't want to keep everyone if you don't have anything else to ask.
What I always tell people, so my job here on campus, I work in the admissions office as a student ambassador. I give tours. Well, most people don't like to ask questions on tours, which is understandable. So what I always say is, if you have any other questions, if you don't want to ask me because you're weird about asking questions, email your rep. That's what I always say, especially if I know who it is. I'm like, email Taylor, email Lauren, email Justin. Or if you can only remember one of their names, email them and ask who your rep is, and then ask them. Because it's always easier to ask in an email usually.
No, and I think that's the other thing. If you haven't visited campus, I know that we've done some virtual visits, but like coming to see campus, or if you're looking at more than one school, if you can visit the campuses, sometimes there's just like the universities might be almost the same, but it might just be the environment that it is. And like I think Quincy University has a good learning environment. I think that have a good student body. People are generally pretty nice to each other, I think. So,
I think so.
I just think that it's pretty friendly here. And if you've been in a big city or small city, it's either way, it's just kind of all around, it's pretty good. And again, like your professors are very approachable. Like you find me. I'm not like 2 states away and I'm teaching them online. Well, I did that this semester.
I think, is North Campus in the virtual tour?
I'd have to watch it, I'm not sure.
Because I'm not sure, because I was gonna say we're not right now, because we're not doing North Campus tours, which is, the main thing that everybody in here would want to come see. So I just wasn't sure if it was in the virtual tour or not.
So I can say a few things about North Campus, because I've lived there for so many years. That we actually redid all of our labs, and so all of our labs are new. We've redone some of our classrooms up there. I helped to create the student study space in the front, and there's food up at North Campus. So if you're stuck up at North Campus all day long, which if you're a science major, then generally you are stuck at North Campus for most of the day. So at least there's a place to get a snack or a little bit of food. But then also, I like the study room. I don't know, Elena, do you use it at all?
I usually use it on Wednesdays between my physics lab and my chem lecture. So it's just a nice, quiet little place. There's sometimes a couple other people in there, but you're all frantically cramming usually, so nobody bothers each other.
and it's always fun to see when there's about to be a physics test and everybody's in there studying. But I really think there are student spaces that are meant for students, and that's like even the undergraduate research lab that's being built there. That's for students. I mean, that's for undergraduates to become do a little bit of experiential learning, and like I said from the very beginning. So, I don't know. I think we do all right up there. So.
Yeah, for context, if you've never seen a map of QU before, we have like one block that is most of our campus with, some of our main buildings, all of our residence halls, and then about a mile up the street, we have a whole separate campus, which is where all of our math, science, our music classes happen. It's a whole different section. So that is what we're saying when we're talking about North Campus, if you guys have no idea what we're talking about.
There's also psychology up at North Campus.
Yes.
And human services. And the best people on campus.
Well, is there anything else anyone wants to add or any questions? You guys should have, I believe they have your email, don't they, Taylor? Where they got the invite, maybe?
I think your email is in the Zoom.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Don't hesitate. And know what we can do, Taylor? We could just send our emails in the chat real quick. We will both send our emails in the chat if you guys want to copy them, save them somewhere so that if you have any questions after the fact, or like Elena said, you didn't want to ask in front of everyone, you can totally email us. Let us know if there's anything that we can obviously help you with. This will be, this like video presentation we just did will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you just want to review, you can get on there and check that out as well.
And I know there was one student who had maybe thought about nursing. There was a little session like this for the nursing program 2 weeks ago, and that video is also available. So if you would like to go on our YouTube page, you can find that session as well. I think it was mostly just a Q&A with some of the nursing faculty.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys all so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Dr. Enger, for taking time to educate all of us. And thank you, Elena, for taking time to give the student perspective for us.
Of course.
All right, everyone have a good evening.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.